So today I want to talk about Garrett Nussmeier and his delayed decision about where he's going to commit to play college football. And all that's coming up after the bumper.
Don't be cornering me. Hold up. Time. You gotta help me with that corner shit.
What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. Consider hitting the like and subscribe button because I upload a video every single day. It's always college football related, sports related. We have a good time. Today, I want to talk about LSU lean Garrett Nussmeier, because we thought that on April 18th, today, he may be committing to LSU. And that's not necessarily speaking out of school, because there are 17 crystal ball predictions on Garrett Nussmeier, and all 17 of them have him going to LSU, especially knowing that Caleb Williams is getting 90% of crystal ball saying he's going to Oklahoma. And it feels like as soon as Caleb Williams decides what he's going to do, you could also see a number of other prospects along with Garrett Nussmeier decide what they're going to do. Though I don't think Garrett Nussmeier's decision is dependent on what Caleb Williams does, to put that just out there and plainly. But one of the things that is most interesting about Nussmeier is that he decided, one, to delay his recruiting, obviously because we're in the middle of a pandemic, and he was going to take a trip to several places, notably LSU, but also Miami, where he has a relationship with Rhett Lashlee, and he spoke glowingly of the former SMU quarterback, and he got his offer from Miami as Rhett Lashlee became the new offensive coordinator. Rhett Lashlee is also this dude who is penalizing his quarterbacks for missing throws on routes on air. I sincerely appreciate this because it keeps these quarterbacks accountable, and we all know that quarterbacks seem to get away with more than anybody else on the football team. So much so that I talked to some other quarterbacks that had to run routes on air for Rhett Lashlee and other noted, just highly cool offensive coordinators, but also very good at strategizing offensive football. And they're like, yeah, routes on air was one of the most nerve-wracking drills I have to go through, because it's really just about me putting it on the wide receivers. And that's really something you're supposed to be able to do at the highest level, just from jump. You're supposed to be accurate with the football. Now, he's also being recruited heavily by Texas offensive coordinator Mike Yurcich, who was also recruiting the Flower Mound Marcus kiddo out of, Marcus in Texas at Oklahoma State. So we know that Mike Yurcich has wanted Garrett Nussmeier for a very long time. He's going to take a visit, we would assume, to Texas. Also got in a visit to Baylor. We know what he thinks about Baylor from what he thinks about Dave Aranda, and we know that Larry Fedora can put people in position to succeed. Say nothing of what Jorge Munoz provides to that, and we know that Joey McGuire is now a Texas Hall of Fame high school football coaching legend, and he's on that staff, and that's a dynamite staff down there. And we could talk a little bit about Texas A&M as they came in here late with an offer, but we'll see what that even does. I don't think that's really going to register, and I think Nussmeier's doing the right thing by saying that he's entertaining it. But what we need to keep into perspective here is Garrett Nussmeier is Doug Nussmeier's dad, and Doug Nussmeier is the quarterback coach for my Dallas Cowboys, but before that was an offensive analyst at LSU. And Nussmeier has a prodigious and awesome resume as a quarterback's coach and offensive coordinator, notably won a BCS national championship as the offensive coordinator for Alabama, and Nick Saban has been an offensive coordinator for Fresno State. Washington has been a player in the league, played with the Saints and a couple of other squads, even did a stint in the Canadian Football League. I want to say for like the BC Lions and whatnot. But we know that Doug Nussmeier is more than capable of not just producing top-level quarterback play, but also top-level offensive coordinator play. And I like to think that he would want his kid going to play for someone that absolutely positively knew what his kid could do, but also appreciates that he's his kid, right? And Scott Linehan certainly foots that bill, right? In many ways, you kind of think that Scott Linehan being hired as passing game coordinator to replace departed Joe Brady was in part response to try to sew up a Garrett Nussmeier type of player, because, yes, he worked with Doug Nussmeier and coached Doug Nussmeier at prior stops. I also think this would be a really great win for LSU because of the really strong connection between Doug Nussmeier and the program and the Cowboys and seemingly LSU, right? So like where I'm sitting, and we have the NFL draft coming up, I want to see Xavier McKinney, CJ Henderson, or Grant Delpit taken with that first round pick by the Dallas Cowboys, because I think we need a defensive back help. It's not a secret, right? Need a corner to either replace Byron Jones or a safety to really help fortify that spot that I really haven't liked, strong safety or free safety, and I know that I'm on a ledge there. But also going into next year, Terrace Marshall and or Jamar Chase are also up. Could see them going after a wide receiver, especially knowing that you could get off this Amari Cooper contract in a couple of years. And I know that I'm mixing the two sports here, but you get where I'm going here. That's the point, right? College football players want to get to the NFL, and we're seeing how important college football is to athletic programs right here, right now. We had David Coburn go on record in his spring conference call to alumni going, it would be devastating and catastrophic if we did not have a college football season, and that's one of the scenarios that he and the folks at Florida State are working out, along with the ACC and really across the NCAA, right? We're talking about a college football playoff that is worth $600 million annually. This is in response also to the NCAA having to cancel its tournament, which produces nearly $800 million annually from just the TV rights of the broadcast, right? So you already have them in a hole of about $2 to $2.5 million in the ACC, could be up to $5 million in the Big 12 because we all know that Kansas was the number one team in the country and probably was going to win a national championship. Baylor was really good, and so forth and so on, right? But with Nussmeier delaying his commitment date, I think, one, cool, wanting to see through the process. I tell all the kids, take all of your visits, every last one of them. Issue here, though, is when you're going to be able to take a visit, right? So we've seen kids just decide, maybe I'll take my visits, maybe I won't, but I'm going to go ahead and commit to, one, make sure I get my spot shirt up, and two, make it understood that this is always where I was thinking of going anyway. Travion Henderson, Tumise Adele, Evan Pryor, right? Drake May flipping to North Carolina. We've even seen Alabama pick up a commit since I made this video that is going live about how Alabama's in, dire straits right now in its recruiting because they are 14th in a 14-team league in recruiting right now and 55th nationally. It is not a good look. But LSU is not exactly, recruiting like gangbusters. They're like ranked 26th right now. And they could have certainly used the boost. Now, would you want him to be on campus or have a visit or be in this really great official environment like a spring game to announce that? And maybe you could get some kids that are on the fence to come with him. Absolutely. And I think that Nussmeier would be smart to be working with the coaches on what it is they want to do and how they want to deploy all of this, because what we do know about LSU is Ed Orgeron knows exactly what he is doing when it comes to recruiting. We know that Scott Linehan is his guy. We know that Bo Pelini is also his guy. We know that Bill Bush can go out and get guys because look at Jabril Cox, who just decided without taking a visit to LSU, that's where he's going to be. I think it's just a matter of time with Nussmeier, like many other folks, but I did think that it was really interesting for him to just go ahead and say on the day that he was going to commit rather than weeks ahead that, hey, I'm just going to take a day to day and I'm going to take my time and we'll see where everything goes. Everybody stay safe. I don't necessarily think that's going to work against LSU, I guess is the point here. I think that how this is actually going to work out is when everything can sort of kind of get back to traveling norms, we're going to see Garrett Nussmeier perhaps pull the trigger, perhaps pull it to LSU, and then we get to see if LSU can close the gap into the top 10 in recruiting, but also can North Carolina keep the kids? Basically, Mac Brown just putting a fence around North Carolina and that area because they're at number 2 right now behind Ohio State, who's got a huge lead. And then talking about Clemson, then Florida, and then Notre Dame, right? I think LSU wants to move there. I think Oklahoma wants to move there, ranked like 30th right now. And of course, Alabama's going to have to start making a move sooner rather than later. All right, that is it for me. Deuces.